Hi, this is David Rice from Hit Christian Substack. We are on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Missouri Liberty Radio. I am here today with Jackie Peck. She's a delegate from the Second District, and Gretchen Garrity. She has a blog, Right to Win Ozarks. And so we're just gonna have another conversation about May 4th with the state GOP convention. Jackie was there and she's an eyewitness to the events. And so I'm going to let Gretchen take the lead on most of the questions since she has an idea where she wants to go with asking them. But before I do that, Jackie, could you just give us like a rundown of the day?
Of the state convention.
Yeah, just a quick what you saw when you got there and because we talked last night on the phone. It was sort of how would you describe the event and how organized it was?
Um, well, I'd start off with the night before. I left early. I wanted to know. I heard you could get your credentials. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this before,
Sure.
and um, they didn't have me in the computer, and they sent me to someone else and said they would get a hold of me. And then they like, well, how are they going to get a hold of me? And they took my phone number. And then I went back and got their phone number, but no one got a hold of me that night. So I came in early Saturday morning and they did have my credentials. And then we went to inside and it seemed like it was taking a while for it didn't seem like it did take a while for everybody to get in, and then we found out people weren't getting their credentials. And then I noticed in my CD2 and St. Louis County area, people were like, it was kind of empty. And I was like, why is it empty? And then later, delegates, like a lot later, came in and filled that up. But all this like took around 4 to 5 hours. And I was afraid to leave my seat because they said like I might miss something.
Sure.
And then like around 2, they had lunch, but there was a whole bunch of it seemed like tomfoolery going on in between. It was very confusing.
Hmm. So
Uh,
you were from
Go
St.
ahead.
Louis and you got there the night before.
Yeah,
Okay.
I I just want to make sure that to be prepared for anything.
Right. And you said you weren't in the computer. Now, I have heard other delegates say that when they went up to the tables to get credentialed, there were no computers. So was there
Oh,
something different Friday night than there was Saturday morning?
yeah. So for me, Friday night, I went to a lady at a table and she looked on a computer and said she didn't see me. And then I went, or maybe now I'm second guessing myself. And then I went to a second table and she said, okay, we'll put your name down and look you up later. But when I went there in the morning, I just went to a table and they had me.
Okay.
So my memory may not be completely complete on that.
Well, there may have been a table that had a computer on Friday night or something. I don't know. I can't, nobody's talking who was doing this stuff, you know, so that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it seems similar to like our caucus was mixed up too, and we didn't get to the what's it called, the amendments, just like the convention.
Right, right. Do you were you one of the people who were getting texts and stuff from Gordon Kinney and Terry Almond in the week before the convention?
I would have to check my phone. I may have deleted them. I did
Okay,
get texts from people, and I didn't know what they were. I was like,
okay.
why are people texting me? What's going on? And I think I tried to call someone and ask them like, why am I getting texts? But I couldn't get any answers, which is just it's an ongoing theme of not can't find anybody to give me any answers. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like to
But,
study stuff before, and I like to go in like knowing something.
mm-hmm.
The
Well, would
rules,
you go ahead?
I was gonna say the rules for the convention do seem to be hidden from the public.
Right,
They
because
do seem to be, yeah.
yeah, because they're the state GOP is a private organization, right? So they
Uh,
don't have to, they don't have to give us information. So they're not, yeah, I mean, there's government people in them, but the actual state GOP is not a government organization.
Okay,
So,
it's private. Yeah.
yeah, just like the RNC, the Republican National Convention is that too, the RNC committee. I mean, so when you're looking back at and this was your first one, right? But you
It's my,
were,
yeah.
okay. What were other people around you saying about that unprecedented delay in the credentialing?
They were
Because you
saying,
can,
what's going on? I don't understand. The two guys had been to a caucus before were like, this is messed up, man. That this isn't right. I don't know what's going on. Basically, everybody's going, I don't know what's going on.
okay, that's interesting. And Nick Myers, besides him, who else was involved in trying to seat alternates from other counties to fill the delegate seats? For instance, you were saying, was that going on with your county? Were they trying to put alternates or somebody in the seats because there weren't people there?
They did, and I don't know who controlled it because they were kind of going off to the side and taking care of stuff. Like they'd go off into a corner. And
Okay, so it felt like it was not open, transparent.
no, that day wasn't everything from the point of you're going to the state convention to that day and the whole day and after, no transparency.
Okay. Do you know who else besides Nick was involved in trying to seat those alternates? Was that Eddie Justice?
I don't know. I was confused on that whole thing. There's a lot of noise around me. Yeah, that's all. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I kept trying to ask people around me questions that had been to a caucus before. And then Shannon Cox, who's awesome, was there. And we were all like, we don't know what's going on.
Okay. So apparently the Jeff County delegation, I heard they got up and left quite early after around 3 o'clock when the permanent chair had been elected, and that there was a sense of 24 out of 27 people just got up and left that meeting at that point. Did you see that?
I didn't. I think what my main focus was at the beginning, how the seats weren't full. And I wondered why, like if this is such an important thing, why weren't there more clear given directions for people to show up? And then with our, I'm not answering your question. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're fine. Go ahead.
The division and within our slate, you could see where the establishment would always sit down when there was a vote for someone, and like Grassroots, me and Kristen, we would be standing up because you could just tell by like common sense and what was right when people were giving speeches that were, what was important.
Is this
But
to elect the slate?
yes, or whoever was being elected. Like, and that's another thing. I was trying to get information before. I didn't even understand that there was like the state committee people and electing people there. And that none of that was explained to me. And I kept trying to ask beforehand.
I do believe that there was some kind of change in the rules that happened earlier, which would allow the state party to select some of the national delegates and alternates. I think that was the slate of 16.
Okay.
But that's something I will have to look further into.
I couldn't even tell you right now who is supposed to go.
So they haven't sent out anything?
I would have to go through my email. Like they said, so I was told the word that was used is they pinned people. Like they are already picked. Like Ben Murphy, Garrett Weigert, and there's this Niles Stevens guy and he wasn't there, but that they were already picked to go to national. And I don't know how many people out of our slate were supposed to go.
Okay. So Are you aware of those two challenges that are being made to the slate? Because the slate did get elected. I'm sure the convention chair has that, along with a parliamentarian who has been elected to go to the national convention. It's just interesting that the delegates aren't getting that information clearly, and it makes me wonder why that's not clear, number one, and number two, if there is, because of these challenges, if there is the hope that the slate will be overturned, because it was the grassroots who voted them in, that national slate.
I could see that happening, and I don't know what my slate's doing. Like there's been like no contact since this went
Really?
on. Yeah.
And
I
you're
mean, like
you're
Gary
delegating.
he called and talked to me a little bit. He was like leading it, and he co-led it with Renee, which I haven't been I've been like trying I have not been happy with. Lord have mercy. But yeah, but then it seems like I couldn't get any info out of him either. And he's like, they may be challenging it. And I've been the one that like is trying to pursue it, going, I don't think this is, like, knowing grassroots people and watching things, I'm like, I don't think this is going to go away. That's what I've been saying. And I don't think it should. I'm like, nothing about that was right. Like, and it didn't, I left it like around 5:30. So I was not there when they called the quorum, and no one explained that stuff. Like, I would have been there.
Yeah.
Right. You would have stayed, but nobody told you the importance of staying.
Yeah.
And you had a long drive home.
I had to come back to St. Louis, but I would have gotten a hotel for the night. Like, cause you're supposed to do what you say.
Yeah.
And when I read about caucuses, and my friend taught a class after she heard, they're like, you're supposed to stay at your caucus, not from the people that we're with, no matter what, because it's important. You want to be there and show up. But people around us were acting like, oh, it's okay. Like, you can just go. Like, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I know. I heard that from other delegates, that people were even encouraging people to leave.
Yeah.
It seems as if the more things trickle out, the more it looks like there was an attempt from the beginning to sabotage this convention. And what probably saved it was Sophia Shore and the parliamentarian getting at least to the point where the national slate was elected. And then, of course, it was further sabotaged towards the end by the lack of a quorum.
And I have to fess up, I didn't know about Sophia until I was there. And well, I didn't know about Eddie Justice either. I didn't know anything. So when the vote came for Eddie, I did stand up for him, because I don't know her from Adam. And then when she got up there, I was like, oh, this is how things should have been going the entire time. And I'm like, we need to get around our state people more, that other people in the state need to know each other so that we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
She rocked. And my guy that was leading us had said that, he's like, well, I kind of got into it with this person and that person. And I'm like, when he was telling me that, I'm like, well, these women are like rock star Christians in my book, and they have been fighting the good fight for like years. And when I go to do grassroots stuff at the Capitol, they're always there working their butts off. So I'm not gonna. I told him, like, I can't agree with you. If you got in a fight with him, you got in a fight with him.
Mm-hmm. So would you agree with the assessment that the state party seems to have been used to selecting the national delegates and alternates, and that they were not able to do what they had preordained for the convention, and that
Yes.
is one of the issues that we're seeing with the challenges right now?
Yes. I mean, like 100%. And it's somewhere on the spectrum of has to be like from incompetence to corruption. And I don't know what it is or who's on doing what on that spectrum, but it was not right.
Yes, and from what I understand, one of the challenges is they're actually challenging the problems with the credentialing, which is what they caused themselves, which I find enormously interesting, because is it possible that there was an attempt right from the beginning to be able to make a challenge that would be upheld?
That is a
That
possibility.
Oh.
I know that I remember being so bummed out. I'm like, oh, we drove all this way and got a room, and now I may not be able to get in. I was like kind of bummed out. And my friend helped get people checked in for CD2, and she started telling me that shouldn't even be going on, because when we check people in, it went like this, and I did it myself, so I know that it should have been no problem. They should have just been able to get you in, like not
Yeah.
just me, just like the process and the timing.
Yes, and I did contact the state party and ask them for the process, exactly what their process was on credentialing and how it would have looked at the convention, and crickets, nothing, not a word. So,
I
and
know.
they don't have to, they don't have to, but it's an indictment upon them that they have no transparency.
Yeah, if this was a job or a business or even a family, I mean, if those things happen, they would have to be looked over. And this is very important. Like and I kept thinking if Trump was there, he would go, what a crap show is going on when he does his rally. I don't miss a rally. I'm like, it's rally night. I've like been watching forever. And I'm like, if he was here right now, and I think at caucus too, I heard an overlay. I don't think I know. I heard a lady. She goes, I overheard her saying, I was dipping in the conversation. She goes, I'm an observer for Trump. I've been an observer for 15 years. And that caught my head when I was there at the state. And I'm like, if he's observing this, this is a crap show. I'm so embarrassed.
Mhm.
I don't want to be counted in as the person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what is your overall impression of the challenges? Have you been able to read about them at all?
An alternative, like David's Substack, and then Joshua Lehman, and I forgot the girl's name. Was it Melissa? They did a really good Rumble, but I think, well, you guys are probably this way too, but I'm abnormal in that I dig for info until I find what's going on, because I wasn't getting anything from the people I went with. And in fact, I even got challenged when I was texting them back with information like, hey, this is what's going on, and or what happened, and nobody wanted to hear it.
Yeah, no, I think other people have found that too. Would you say that on the Derek Good challenge, that they are claiming that the convention's selection of delegates ignored the rules set forth in the call to convention, and that the amendment of the standing rules were in contravention of the RNC rules, and so that therefore invalidates the entire slate of delegates and alternates that were selected? Did you see anybody making calls to order, point of order or anything like that, saying
Oh yeah.
okay, what was going on there?
I don't remember. I can't, it was absolute like chaos and confusion at some points. And I know like this may not speak to what you just said about the person, but like when they wanted to do a secret ballot, we were yelling, no, point of order. And just throughout the whole day, which wasn't that long because it didn't start till 2. I'm sorry, I just lost it.
No, but that makes me think that so are they, that makes me wonder, David, if they're actually saying that what went on before the selection of delegates was an ignoring of the rules.
If it was the part with Nick Myers, I don't know if he was ignoring rules, but I know things from common sense was not right. And that everything turned around once Sophia got up there. And once her people and everybody started working together and counting, and it started flowing great.
Okay, and I've heard that over and over and over. Did you know anything about the turning away of delegates and alternates that was supposedly happening, where they were coming in after the break and they were being turned away?
I don't know about that.
You didn't hear about that? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I don't know, David, you have a question here?
No, I was thinking as the day's going on and you're having all these different moments of chaos, and it does seem like, especially until Sophia took the gavel, everything that is occurring at the state GOP isn't organized. It's not designed to show good procedure, good policy. It doesn't, the way you describe it, it doesn't sound as if they wanted the show to run well. Have you talked to anybody? Have you had any conversations with anybody who would know what's going on?
I think I don't think she'd know, as in like maybe how you guys know, or Sophia, because we're
Sure.
new.
Yeah.
But like Shannon Cox, Kristen's pretty good. She may know, she's kind of new, but she seems to know more. And I know the guys that, like the guy that co-did the slate for us, I know he knows the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have been explaining stuff. So I don't know what's going on. I
So
don't feel
you
right. I don't feel good about it at all.
so you felt like you were just kept in the dark. You were there to know.
Rubber stamp?
Yes, and I didn't. Like I pretty much voted separate from what the rest of my slate was doing. They would be sitting down when we'd be standing up, and we'd be standing up when they were sitting down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that's what freedom is all about. But you felt like it was because you didn't know, you were a first-time delegate and you hadn't been properly kind of apprised of how the convention should go.
Yes, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus either. Like, but I would call and go, what's the schedule like? What's this going to be like? I'd never, and so you'd think that if they would, and maybe that it is my fault. I don't know. I'd never heard of some of those people until I got there.
Well,
And
I
I
mean,
think as a party, you would know who the people were. I
in
didn't
the
know who Cherry Almond was. I didn't know I didn't know like almost everybody.
yeah, in the interviews I've had with other people, they've all talked to the fact that it wasn't organized. There was this lack of organization, and yet they seem to have built opinion. They seem to have built this organization into the policy. And then Sophia comes along and she brings order to the system.
I can concur with that. I agree.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think we could have, if they would have let her up sooner, or maybe they knew that she was going to come up and do that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't want to, you know, go
I
back
know.
and try to agree. But if they would have got her up sooner, we would have had our amendments done, and it would have been clean. Or
Yeah.
I'm stating that as from what I saw, it would have. I mean, to
Right.
start at 2. So we were told we'd be home by 2 or leaving at 2.
Yeah, yeah. And that's again part of, when you look at the whole thing, between the delays, the numerous points of order and things like that went on throughout the day, the high-fiving at the end that happened with some of the delegates that were there and were making a lot of the points of order and stuff. It seemed like obstruction. And then now that
Oh,
we're having these challenges to the slate, I think it's really hard to deny that we're kind of dealing with Tea Party 2.0 here,
Yep.
in which the establishment is fighting back against the grassroots.
Yes. I witnessed that, and I've been experiencing it on other levels with things I'm doing.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Gretchen.
No,
I was just going to ask if there was the system as it is. I mean, we can't go back and put the milk back in the milk jug and fix May 4th. But with the system as it is moving forward, do you feel like you have a voice in changing as a delegate, changing what happened? Or do you still feel like you are being locked out, excluded from speaking up?
Oh yeah. I feel like it was a train wreck that moved on, and now they're saying we can't do anything to fix it. Like, I don't know if
yeah,
that made sense. Like, I'm,
it does.
I'm now that we're rehashing it, I'm really frustrated. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to put up with this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I
Would
guess this is just the way it goes.
Do you have a favorite amendment? One of the, there were 27 amendments, I think 26 were passed before the convention was shut down. Do you remember any of the ones that your caucus passed and that you think are important to be included in a platform?
I do not. And I'm really frustrated because I just like got the papers like that day, and we're looking through them and didn't even get a chance to think about it. And that's the same thing that happened at our caucus CD2, is that we didn't get to look over the amendments.
You
It
were
was
not
just like
included?
we didn't finish in CD2 with well, I think at the very end, Bev got them in. I was like, go, Bev, go. But then we all just like went home. Like they rented out the room only to like noon or 1, so we couldn't finish up. And then like the same thing happened at state. And I'm like, this can't be right. You're not like, I can't even tell you what all the 27 amendments are right now. You
Okay.
can't tell me that's how you're supposed to. I'm about to curse. Sorry, Lord. I'm getting really worked up. I'm like, you can't tell me this is how we run our country, our state.
Yeah.
We're gonna base it off this last few minutes, and we just got the papers today. Why weren't like these things like given to us before we got there? Like so we could
I
pray
think
over them and read them and think about it.
because I think I think the state committee had already seen them, and they had decided not to include any of those that had been approved throughout the state. And they had a platform. Didn't they have a platform that they tried to
Yeah,
vote in that
they had an
had not?
alternate. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did have an alternate platform that and slate that they tried to vote in, and when it wasn't successful, there's a lot of belly aching about that, and
yeah.
so they
And
were
go ahead.
definitely determined to get on the grassroots platform disenfranchised.
Absolutely. I think it's, you really can't, the evidence just keeps piling up, and there's just way too many coincidences to think that it was anything other than the kind of dirty tricks that apparently are very common at these types of events, by the way. So,
I'm starting with gosh, I don't want to keep you long or go off topic. This is a story I tell everyone, but I've been following Trump since I lived in Long Island, or like 93, 94, and Art of the Deal, and always liked him. Um, I was recently remembered how we were walking down 6th Avenue, and I'd read the book and said, I think this guy's going places.
Mm.
And so,
wow.
um, so here we are, move ahead. I just lost my train of thought. I got all nervous. Sorry. Um, oh, I know. The one thing that I always tell people is that the one thing I didn't like about Trump, my coworkers were asking me who I was voting for. And I go, well, Trump. And then the only thing I didn't like about Trump is in an interview way back in the day, I think with Oprah or something, he said, she asked what party you'd go through in the Republic. He said Republican. and I may get the word wrong, but it was something like, because they're so ignorant. And I'm like, well, that SOB, like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm like, I'm a Tea Party. I'm a conservative. And I've been like, oh my gosh, I've been eating that since whatever. I am so dumb. I showed up at the county council to fight with the COVID. They said, go to your precincts or townships or your committees. I showed up there. I was rebuffed there. And I was like trying to fight because they ran a Democrat loser against Sam Page, who closed our county down bad.
Uh-huh.
And no matter where I went, and now then I heard a caucus, like word of mouth, like Grace Church was going to hold caucus training. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to that. Me and my friend just keep going to stuff. And I'm like, I didn't know when I got there, I didn't know ahead of time that we would be electing state committee people. I didn't know there were state committee people. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
I knew
sounds
the
like
delegates, but I'm like, and it's been an act of like sheer frustration learning all of it and trying to get someone to like let us in, or like, in a very helpful manner. We're not like, going like, like we're coming up like, I describe it as like young puppy dogs, like going, hey, we'd love to help. We'd love to help. And
Well,
we're being,
Jackie,
our own
I
parties
think
are buffing us.
yes, I think it's a big club and the grassroots ain't in it for the most part.
no.
Yeah.
They definitely don't want us to be part of the conversation. It's unfortunate. Uh,
Yeah.
it's aggravating. I know I can feel your frustration. Well, Gretchen and I have been kind of dealing with this for a while, so and as you have been too. And I don't know. Some days I'm even kill, as Gretchen can tell you, and other days I'm less even kill about it. So
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Well, see,
it's
you
very
guys know a
frustrating.
lot.
I've only just been digging around, and it's just mainly talking to people, and once you start to see a pattern emerging, the more people
Yep.
that you talk to. And this talking with you has been very, very instructive in the sense that you were a delegate who, in fact, you're not the only one who has said this, who you had to basically dig around to find the information. What information you could find, you were having to get it yourself. It wasn't being shared with you.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly it.
yeah. There was also people who swore up and down that everybody had access to it in their seats. Did you see paperwork in your seat when you got there, since you were there early?
No, there weren't people in my seat, and that was kind of embarrassing because I saw all the other, like seats were filled like across from us, not our district, but there was like a big hole in our district in St. Louis. And now I feel like that was on purpose.
Yeah.
I feel like they told people not to come.
Well,
I wouldn't be
But
a
I
bit
can't prove
surprised.
that, because I just know that they act real relaxed. Like I felt like I don't know how to word this. It wasn't important. Like you can whatever you want to do. And
Mhm.
if I was in charge of that part of it, I'd be like, you have to be there, get there early. Here's what's going to happen first, second. Like there would have been an outline. Which, just being a
Mhm.
girl, I kept calling, going, listen, you got to tell me what's going on because I need to
um,
pick out clothing. Like, do you go to dinner? Do you do this? Like, what's it like?
I mean, so even some of the basic stuff, they weren't really forthcoming, huh?
The most basic.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh darn. That must have been so frustrating for a first time delegate. But
It
so what
was really frustrating.
if you would be elected a delegate again, what would you change about what you were seeing and experiencing and doing?
Well, I don't know what I could change, but I would hope the person that's in charge would give us the information and the rules and what we would expect in an outline so that we could prayerfully consider what's going forward. I mean, we're talking about what we're going to do with our counties, our state, our country, and who's representing us. I mean,
Yeah.
and like you guys, like people are vetting people now. Our county says she proudly stated that they don't vet people.
Oh.
And I was like, what? I'm like, you're proud of that? I think you should, because you have no clue. And then you should share that everything should be more open and transparent, and there should be more information. So that people
Yes.
can talk about it and come to a consensus, or maybe come to their own consensus, like as a free people, and and not like have to decide on the fly with a 5-minute speech. Like that's how
Yes.
you had to pick people.
It's it does seem like they were trying to keep you guys in the dark.
I felt completely in the dark, and I kept calling my best friend, who she went down with me, and we were saying the same thing. I'm like, I can't get any info. I can't get any info. Like, I keep calling people, and I can't, and I go, I think they're blowing me off. Like,
They probably were.
and that's still happening as I'm trying to run for committee woman. Like, we're going to do something, but later on, no, in fact, I thought when I was joining, the group, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to find out how to run as a committee person, so that I, can run grassroots successfully, or at least try, because, and get more info. You don't know how many phone calls I made to try to figure out to people I don't know. And finally I found another grassroots person, Kristen, who, since, COVID on, that we know each other from just showing up at the same things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I can trust her. And I was like,
Chris-
you got to
Chris-
get me in that group.
Kristen Half-Trizik.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a great Twitter feed, or X feed, I should say, if anybody wants to follow.
Yeah. Yes. And that's like, so I know her, like, so I'm suspended, and I opened a new account last week, and I'm something, I don't know what, I locked out 3 times. And so I thought I'd build my account and then follow other people, and politically wise, like that, Twitter used to be where I got all my politics. I've been there since 2010 Tea Party. And now
Yeah.
I'm locked out. And
Yeah.
but Chris, yeah, that is like a town square. And so from seeing what she puts on her Twitter feed, and seeing her like at the same things, like we'll show up at the Capitol and talking to each other, I knew I could trust her. Like, that's how, like, you could vet her that way. And then you get in the same chats together. But she
Sure.
felt the same way too. She is awesome. Like, she'd be an awesome interview, because she'll remember stuff, and she
Well,
tapes stuff on her phone.
we might reach out to her, but you've been an awesome interview too, Jackie. So don't sell yourself too short. It's
Yeah.
your perspective is this. It's building a picture of what happened at the Missouri GOP, and it's giving us more and more insights into what we should be looking at and digging into as far as journalists. So I don't discredit your opinion because you were excluded and kept in the dark. That's good information too.
Okay.
It's actually very important information, because that's going to show the grassroots how to go forward. They've got to get their people educated on
Well,
what's
please
going to
include
happen.
me, because I feel like I interrupted you. Sorry. I feel like I'm on an island here in St. Louis County.
Well, that's
Like,
another thing that more conservative counties should be doing, is reaching out to the liberal counties and saying, "Hey, which people can we be informing about what's going on, and not just leaving them hanging like that you were left hanging."
yeah, that's my best friend, Julie. She's running the township right next to me. And we got nothing, and we're trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see when something like COVID hits, or whatever's going to come up next, or with what's going on with our president, that you want people who care and know stuff
Yeah.
to work together. And St. Louis County is a big county. Like, we need to have some people here. That's my thought. I don't know.
No,
I'm sad for my county and state.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I do. I agree too. It's
I'm trying
very
to say,
sad.
help me if you guys do something.
Yeah.
Help me help my county.
Well, I think this getting out, this kind of information getting out will be very helpful, because I think there are people who do want, you know, the grassroots to do well, and they do want our delegates to know what's going on, so they don't get caught with what seemed to have happened here. I mean, they were pulling out, it seems like, all the stops to derail the convention. And I like you said, I think it was Sophie Shore who probably managed to, along with her parliamentarian, managed to save, you know, a good bit of
Most
it.
of
And
it,
now
yeah.
yes, and
The
now they're
little that
trying
was
to,
left, yeah.
yes, and now they're trying to challenge even that. And what do you think will happen if if those challenges are successful? What will that do to your thinking as a grassroots individual?
You know what? It's demoralizing. And I already felt that way when I got home. I thought, oh wow, I got chosen as a grassroots supporter of Trump. I can't wait to go to caucus. I can't wait to, you know, even though I don't know much, I left totally deflated, confused. And since then I've felt demoralized about the whole process. And then when you tell me they're not even going to go through with what little that seemed right, and now they're going to challenge that, I'm I'm actually getting, I shouldn't use this
Yeah.
word. I'm actually getting really pissed right now. I'm and
You're not the only
we
one.
grassroots patriots have to be some of the most patient freaks in the entire world. I'm like, if they say, oh, they're going to get violent or they're going to do this, and I'm like, listen, if we were going to get violent, it would have already happened. We've been pretty stepped on by not only the communists but our own party.
Well, and we're dealing with a party that at the national level is very, very interested in what goes on the local level.
I've
And
seen that. Yeah.
yes, they have a huge amount of reach and dollars and everything else. And they are very happy to, you know, impact what goes on a local level.
I've found that out since in all realms, you know, not just this, but through election integrity and trying to speak to that and other things, that
Yes.
they do not want to hear from you, even if you're like calm and just trying to inform them. I've been jumped on.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate, but I think the truth and the word is getting out, and I think the establishment is going to have a run for its money. And
I'm here for it. I'll help you spread the word. I will do whatever it takes.
We're always going to get smarter and better at it. They will never get smarter. Because they have to continually game the system in order to be successful. And
Yeah.
that's not a sign of intelligence. That's a sign of, well, that's a sign that they don't have the ability to think through a problem to really solve it if you have to game it to win it.
right,
Right.
it's status quo, and you can't remain static. We're either getting better or we're getting worse. So I think I actually think this was a very positive convention, in the sense that the grassroots was able to elect a slate of grassroots individuals to the national convention and to the state committees. And so I think that was a really big thing that happened. It's so big that they're actually making challenges that are most likely, I don't know how I want to say it. I think those challenges are contrived. Let's put it that way.
Ah,
Mhm.
I get you.
Yeah.
So we can expose those contrived
Yes.
to real people.
Yeah, and it's hard to think about people on our local and state level that, you know, are willing to do things that would thwart the will of the people, but there we are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about last night. So there's nothing new under the sun. it's frustrating, but there's nothing under the sun. And even the new Chosen episode came out with that, and I was thinking, even, and I've said this before, even Jesus had Judas. So from the very beginning, if you're talking
Yeah.
since Christ, Judas was there and Christ knew it. So it's like a perfect example for us to be sober and alert to know that we're going to have Judas among us.
Yes.
That is very, very salient point. Thank you for that one, Jackie.
Yeah.
I
There seems to be more of them lately.
Well, I think they're all coming to the top and they're trading each other for pieces of silver. Hey,
Yes.
I'll give you 30 pieces of silver if you do it. And they turn around and say, I'll give you 30 pieces of silver if you do it. And they're all passing that same pot of 30 pieces of silver to each
I
other.
agree. And the one thing COVID did give us was it did give us some transparency. The gift, never knew how bad things were, how they worked, or and the gift of exposure it's sad, but having to go through that, but it has exposed a lot of stuff that a lot of us didn't. Well, some of us did. A lot of us don't know about that. Some of us are on fire to work on.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's a great point. Thank you so much for making that point too. That's it's a positive note, and I feel like I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
David.
No, I'm good too. I just want to thank you, Jackie, for being willing to come on. Not a lot of people, it's a bold decision to come on and be on the record, and so we appreciate it.
Thanks. I don't know if I'm being dumb or courageous, but here we go.
Well,
We all feel this.
you're being courageous, and thank you, because let's hope courage is contagious, because the more people who are willing to come out and speak about it, the more the easier it will be to overturn any shenanigans and just ensure that the American people and our Missourian citizens are being properly represented.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So I'll go ahead and end it. And Jackie, you have a great afternoon.
You guys too.
You
And
too. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get to meet you in person soon.
all right.
Yes, I hope so too.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.